What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mobile video. So today is going to be quite a special one because we are going to be comparing two very similar sniper rifles, somewhat the same, but not really. So of course these two sniper rifles are going to be the Rytec Amr as well as the Arctic 50. So we've pretty much reached a point in this game where we kind of often wonder, like, how many more weapons can we release before everything becomes like too similar. You know, there are too many weapons that resemble each other. You know, like take the ASM-10 and the AK-47 for example, or the ICR or the M4, and maybe even the DLQ and the Locust. I mean, we are already starting to see quite a bit of clone weapons as of right now. I mean, even in this season we have two that got released, which is of course the Rytec and the MX-9. The MX-9 is pretty much just like another Fennec, and the Rytec is just like another Arctic 50. But anyways, I'm kind of repeating myself here, so let's actually get into it. Let's start with the Arctic 50. So for starters, the Arctic 50 is one of the more stronger sniper rifles in this game. Of course, it's a semi-auto, it's not a bolt action, so meaning that you could actually spam out this thing a little bit more than, you know, like a DLQ or even a Locust. Of course, you're gonna have to stabilize the gun, which actually slows it down by a ton more, and not to mention the fact if you need more assistance with damage, you're gonna have to rely on the stopping power reload. So obviously the stopping power reload was something for this weapon that caused a lot of problems in the past, and that's mainly because it was just too strong and it didn't really have any detrimental effects to the weapon. So maybe it would be like a 5% or like maybe a 10% ADS time reduction, which isn't a lot for a sniper rifle at the time because the ADS speeds were crazy fast. So from what I remember, the first nerf to the stopping power reload wasn't really a significant one. Like I said, I'm still kind of foggy on how much ADS speed it initially had when the gunsmith released, but I'm pretty sure it was something that wasn't very detrimental to the gun, and that wasn't until later where they kind of increased the penalty by a little bit, but it still wasn't really enough. So they decided to finally make one last touch to the stopping power reload, which made it so that now it decreases your ADS time by 20%. Not only that, it does decrease the fire rate by 20% as well as increasing the vertical recoil by 20%. So yeah, it was a massive detriment to the weapon, but of course it was there to assist you if you were a person that just wasn't really able to hit your shots perfectly all the time. And also keep in mind, before the sniper nerf, it was a complete beast. You were able to spam it as many times as you want. That wasn't until like maybe around season 2 where they decided to finally, you know, just nerf it down to the ground alongside all the other sniper rifles. Of course, the damage is still there, but not a lot of people, especially average to above average players, will even really need it because the base damage of this weapon is very forgiving. The stopping power was just there for it. There were basically training wheels for the weapon. The stopping power reload wasn't really the only mag attachment for this weapon. They did also have a 10-round reload as well as a 12-round reload. So this didn't really have any major detriments to the gun. I think the 12-round reload only reduces your ADS speed by like 3%. So it's nothing really crazy. I usually recommend rocking just the 10-round mag so you won't get any sort of ADS penalties. Overall, the other attachments are not really too crazy. They're very similar to what the other snipers have. You know, the skeleton stock, light stock, strike stock, all that type of stuff. You know, the anti-material barrel, they have also the light barrel, you know, just basic sniper stuff, nothing really crazy. But there is one thing that you can't really put on the Arctic 50, which is of course the tac laser, so you can't really get an ADS or a sprint out benefit for this weapon. The only sprint out / ADS attachment that you could really put on it, besides just the barrels, is just the stippled grip tape. You can't put any laser on it whatsoever. And another thing that this weapon does have over the Rytec is an actual tactical scope. So I'm not talking about 3 times or the 6 times or even the 4 times. I'm talking about the basic tactical scope, the one that has the minimal zoom. That's something that the Rytec actually doesn't have. And it's much more of an advantage for the Arctic 50 because, you know, if you're in close quarters combat areas, it's going to help you a great deal. And like I said, the damage for this weapon is pretty forgiving at that, in its base strength, you know, without any stopping power reload. I believe you could hit like the stomach and still get a one shot. But of course, if you have stopping power, you could hit like in the legs and still get a kill. So yeah, it's a very forgiving weapon, and you don't really need stopping power to actually dominate with this thing. So overall, the Arctic 50 is of course a camper type sniper rifle. It's not one that you could really rush with too well. I mean, you still can if you're really good with snipers, but with average players, I don't really think they're going to be able to do that consistently. And that's mainly because it kind of follows this classic law where if something is stronger, they're more likely to be slower type of thing. Or if it's weaker, it's going to be faster. So obviously, since this is a very strong sniper rifle, it's going to be naturally slow. So now moving on to the Rytec Amr, it's more or less the same thing. It's pretty much an Arctic 50 clone. But the difference is that I believe this one's actually a real-life sniper rifle, and it was one that originated from Modern Warfare, and it made its way just this season for Call of Duty Mobile. I say real-life because, you know, in this game they kind of tend to change the appearance of some guns to the point where I feel like I just don't recognize them. But yeah, overall, the Rytec is more or less the same as the Arctic 50 in terms of strength. It seems to have a very, very forgiving one-shot kill area, pretty much to the point of the stomach, and you could even get kills if you even touch the hand, and that's how strong this thing actually is. But if I were to say, I think this one probably has a more generous one-shot kill area, because I feel like I get a lot less hit markers with this one compared to the Arctic. So of course, like I said earlier, when there is something strong in this game, it tends to be very slow, and the Rytec Amr is really no exception. And I feel like this one is a lot slower. Even if you have a lot of speed attachments built into this gun, it's still a tad bit slower than the Arctic 50. Keep in mind, you could actually put a laser on this thing so you can get another ADS speed benefit, but it still really doesn't do much. And also, there are no attachments that helps extend the magazine. And keep in mind, this is probably one of the more slower reloading weapons, especially if you run out of bullets completely and you have to cock back the gun, which takes a very, very long time. And that's where the perk bullet return comes into play. So obviously the way bullet return works is that whenever you get a kill, sometimes it'll randomly put another bullet into the mag, or it'll just take from the reserve instead. So this is really helpful, especially for a weapon that only has like 5 sniper bullets and has a very, very slow reload time. So you can keep shooting this weapon as much as you can, or, you know, just for a more extended amount of time, only if you don't miss or you actually secure the kill. I mean, which is not hard considering the fact that this is a very strong sniper rifle. The only mag attachment options that they have is, of course, the explosive rounds and the thermite rounds. So in multiplayer, I feel like the explosive rounds would be a lot more helpful, because I feel like no matter where you shoot the enemy, you are going to get a one-shot kill, but the problem is that it reduces your ADS speed by 25%. The same goes for the thermite rounds. And there's really no reason to use these rounds as well, specifically just for the fact that, you know, this sniper rifle has enough power on its own, and second, it's an anti-material rifle, meaning that you could shoot down score streaks with explosive rounds. It's not really meant to be used against enemies. But if anything, the explosive and thermite rounds would probably be a lot more useful for Battle Royale. Of course, this weapon also has another downside, which kind of bothers me a little bit, which is the fact that it doesn't have the basic tactical scope. So you're kind of forced to use either a 3x, 4x, or a 6x. There's no tactical scope that gives you minimal zoom. Of course, the only thing that this weapon has over the Arctic 50 is the fact that you could actually put a laser on it and give yourself some extra aiming speed and some sprint out time. Well, that and its extreme power. So comparing these two side by side is kind of a tough one, because like I said, they're very, very similar. They're just pretty much clones of each other. The only difference is that some might have more advantages than the other. For example, the Arctic 50 has a little bit more speed. It does also have a very forgiving one-shot kill area, but it does get a little bit more hit markers than the Rytec. So if you're going to want more strength, you're going to have to put the stopping power rounds, which reduces your ADS time significantly. Also, keep in mind that the Arctic has a 10 and 12 round mag, so yeah, you have a lot of bullets to use at your disposal. But of course with the Rytec it's a little different because there's no extended mags for that weapon, so you're gonna have to use bullet return. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter because, I mean, that kind of counts as the extended mag attachment, so either way you are going to be using an attachment slot anyways. So really there's not really much of a difference there. With the Rytec, of course, you could put a laser on it, thus increasing the speed a little bit more, but even then at its max speed versus the Arctic 50's max speed, I don't really think it's still faster. I mean, yes, it's fast in its own right, but I think the Arctic 50 beats it just by a little bit. But of course, remember, the Rytec has a bigger forgiving area than the Arctic 50, meaning that you could one-shot a lot better. It's kind of like it has built-in stopping power. And also with the explosive rounds, unlike the stopping power rounds for the Arctic 50, you could either use it to secure a kill no matter what against an enemy, and you could also shoot down aircraft and other score streaks. And that's something that the Arctic 50 can't easily do. Just keep in mind, remember that the Arctic 50 is just basically used for more power against enemies only, while the Rytec can be both. And both, I mean, like, you know, anti-material and destroying score streaks and such. So all of this just really comes down to personal preference. I mean, for me, I use basic rounds on the Rytec all the time. I don't really feel like I have a need for explosive or thermite rounds. So I have some pretty decent ADS speed and I can quickscope fairly easily. But with the Arctic, of course, it's a little more riskier, but it is a lot faster. And if you have good aim, then that's not really going to be much of a problem. So anyways, that's going to end it off for today's video between the Rytec AMR and the Arctic 50. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and make sure to subscribe for some more COD Mobile content. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.